Good morning and welcome to your library. My name is David Leonard, President of the Boston Public Library. I am thrilled to be the host of this event and introduce this morning's program to announce the public launch of our new fundraising initiative, a product of 2.5 years of work, all about enabling the library to truly become, once again, a leading institution in our society and valued at the heart of every community in Boston. The space we are standing in today, or seated in today, is one of the 4 key areas of need that the library has articulated, and perhaps it's the most visible. You've no doubt come through the renovated Johnson space and are familiar with the historic splendor of the restored, inspirational McKim spaces throughout the other 3/4 of this building. This is what we can be. This, where we are now, is full of promise and possibility, particularly for our special collections, many of which are not accessible to the public today. The City of Boston, in our budget, represents 80% of our operating budget. Indeed, this coming fiscal year will see the Mayor's budget raise that by over 6% once approved by City Council. Our Mayor continues to hold the library to its highest standards and accountability, but follows that with a commitment and additional resources, including the $127 million commitment in capital funds over the coming 5 years. However, to be all that we can be requires more resources and more funding. Use of our renovated spaces is up, both at the branches and at Central Library. Borrowing of books is up. Attendance at key programs for people of all ages is up. We have most recently brought new pilot programs to our portfolio, the addition of social work capacity to help those patrons who are most in need, the offering of a Wi-Fi hotspot lending program to help close the digital equity divide in Boston. To sustain and expand these programs requires new levels of philanthropic support. Today's event will start us down the road of meeting these goals, and there are many people to thank who will be formally mentioned later in the program. On a personal basis, I am particularly thankful to our Mayor for his personal support and counsel, to Bob Gallery, the Chair of the Board of Trustees, and to Jeff Hawkins, the incoming Fund Board Chair. Also to Jim Canales, who represents the philanthropic community, a visionary leader at the Barr Foundation, who saw and responded to our potential and promise very early in the process. For me personally, July will represent 3 years into my tenure as head of the BPL, a term I hope is marked by the fixing of systemic issues, the formation of a new leadership team, a vision of what a 21st century library can be that builds on all that came before, and a library that holds all aspects of its mission and identity in balance, central and branches, general and special collections, lifelong learning for people of all ages and backgrounds. This is the mission that with additional support we can accelerate delivering on, the library that the people of Boston and the Commonwealth deserve, and one that our staff wants to see us become again. Part of that includes a philanthropic agenda that allows all of our affiliate partners to truly deliver being stronger together, from the smallest of the friends groups to our focused affiliates, the Leventhal Map and Education Center, and the associates, and yes, to the new fund today. One agenda, one message, one set of priorities. In the audience, I would like to acknowledge Cara Elliott Ortega, Chief of the City of Boston's Arts and Culture, the cabinet of which the library is a part. And now I would like to call Bob Gallery to the podium to introduce the Mayor, where we will hear about how his vision for the library fits into the broader city agenda for arts and culture, education and civic engagement. Please welcome to the podium, Chair of the Board of Trustees, Bob Gallery.
Thanks, David. Welcome, everybody. This is a thrill for me. As David said, 2.5 years ago or so, we started down this road. And to be here surrounded by so many people who have contributed to the effort to get us to this point actually takes my breath away. So thank you for being here. You know, it strikes me every time I come in the building Boston Public Library was the first public library in the country, as most of you know, and it was founded by citizens for the citizens of the city. And that's what this is all about. It's that sense of stewardship and history that each generation has participated in from the founding, and it's kind of our turn. That's what I think David and I and Alan Leventhal and a handful of others, sort of Ron O'Hanley, Jeff, won't try to name everybody, but every time we began to tell the story, people could see what the potential was. And if we brought people through this part of the library, which frankly didn't get finished the last time a group of citizens got together to try to help the city accelerate keeping up with this great place, I just think the opportunity is to make this what it could and should be and what it was in its original form. So thank you all for being here. I wouldn't be literally in this position if I hadn't gotten this phone call one day from the mayor, who said when he heard I was retiring from my then day job, you know, I got this little thing I wonder if you'd think about helping us with. And that was 3 years ago. It's been by far the most satisfying thing I've done as a volunteer anywhere in my life, and I've been honored to work with you and David and the team to try to make a difference for this place that'll go on for a long time, decades, generations. So, Marty, thank you for all of your support, and it's my honor to introduce the Mayor of Boston, Marty Walsh.
Thank you, Bob. And it didn't quite go that way. Bob was president of Bank of America, Massachusetts. He announced his retirement. We were in the midst of a whole bunch of changes at the library. And I think we were doing a search at that point, and David was in the search, and I grabbed Bob. I asked him to come over one day. I was talking to my former chief of staff, Dan Coe, and I said, what about Bob Gallery? Like, you know, he'd be able to raise money. He's former president of Bank of America. He knows where all the money is. And he also is a good man, and I brought him in the office, and I asked him if he considered being on the board and being the chair. And I think he said you had to check with your wife, and you did, and you came back, and I'm grateful you said yes. I'm grateful because of the board as well. And I think the past board members that were here for a while, you might notice a difference. And the new board members, you've done an amazing job. In this fund that I'm kicking off today and working in partnership with David and the staff here at the library and the team here at the library, our goal for the board was for us to be a sought-after board. Not trying to chase people down to sit on the board, but actually be a board that people want to be on the library. And we're seeing that come to fruition. So thank you, Bob, for what you've done. To David Leonard, the president of the library, thank you as well. He certainly has taken the Boston Public Library to the next level and continues to take it to, we're not satisfied, so there's more levels to go. And I want to thank you for what you've done, whether it's been here at the Central Branch or in the neighborhoods, at the local branches. We are one library today. And our goal was to be one library, not siloed libraries in different neighborhoods. It was to be one library, and we are one library. And I want to thank you for that, what you've done in your leadership here. So thank you. To all the board members that are here, thank you for your sacrifice. And sometimes it is sacrifice because you do this for free. But without your leadership and your vision and your commitment to this library and to all of our branches throughout the entire city of Boston, we wouldn't be able to be here today announcing this fund. So I want to thank you as well for your incredible work. To the staff and the library folks that are here, some of which I worked with for 10 years as a state representative and now here, and some of you have been here before me, and some of you here came in after us. I want to thank all of you because we certainly appreciate the work that you do as well. Because you don't have a library, it's not about Bob Gallery, Marty Walsh, David Leonard, and people are going to mention here today. It's really about the team that's here. You are the library, and I want to thank you for your work in this important endeavor what we're doing here. So thank you as well. I'm going to make one more shout out, a couple more shout outs now. Alan Leventhal walked in, and I remember having a conversation with Alan Leventhal probably around 2014 when I became the mayor. And I walked to the library, and we were doing one part of the library over, and we were getting the budget together, and we're thinking, okay, we're making investments in neighborhoods, we're making investments all over the place. And I used to be a state rep before this, and there was a point in time where the library, some libraries were going to be closed, and there wasn't a lot of activity in the neighborhoods, quite honestly, in fairness to the past administration. People weren't using the library, and there was a concern about how do we keep all these branches open if people aren't going into them, and we don't have a path to make improvements. And I talked to Alan about the Leventhal Map Center, and Alan was talking about the library, he said in a way that we're in silos. The Map Center was over here, and the board was over there, and the philanthropic board was over here, and the Friends group was over there, and another group was over here, and the libraries had their own group, and they had Friends groups, and no one kind of spoke to each other, and it was always like central versus branch, and this versus that. And I said, Alan, we're going to change that mindset. We're actually going to have one library. We want to pull everything together. Just give us time. Let us figure it out. And that's even before Bob came on. And we had a vision for what we wanted to see here in this library and what we want to see in our system, our one system. And Alan said, well, let's see what's going on. And Alan's been a huge supporter of supporting us on the one system. And his dad's Map Center, which is downstairs, is an important, integral part of our library. Because the Map Center tells a story of Boston, and the library is part of that story. So, Alan, I want to thank you for your commitment as well and what you have done here. We're joined by City Councilor Nisha Sabi-George, who also is very concerned and wants to make sure we continue to make investments in libraries. We did Jamaica Plain. We're doing Uplands Corner, we're doing Adams Street, we're doing Eggleston Square, we're doing some small renovations in Lowell Mills, we're doing renovations in small ones in South Boston. We're building a brand new Rosendale library. We're doing libraries all over the place. And in our capital budget, by the time in the next 5 or 6 years, I think we should be on path to almost have touched or rebuilt every single library in the system. And every time we open a new library, it wins the ratings award. More people go to the library. And, so as we put more online, and it really is about connecting people. So thank you all. To all the civic leaders and business leaders and philanthropic leaders here today, to the nonprofit leaders here, thank you for being here. I see Matt from the MFA. Thank you for being here with us today. I'm proud to launch the Fund for Boston Public Libraries. The fund's purpose is to support, sustain, and strengthen public libraries in the ways that it serves the residents of the City of Boston and serves the visitors of the City of Boston. Advances the cultural aspect of our city as well in this library. The fund is a vehicle for rallying our city together across every sector around this very unique institution. I'm grateful for the partnerships that we've received in planning and launching this fund. I want to thank the investors. State Street, you're here today. Thank you. Bank of America, you're here today. Thank you. Liberty Mutual, you're here today. Thank you. The Bar Foundation, you're here today, thank you. The Boston Foundation, thank you. To all the other organizations, if you're not on here and you gave, I apologize, I'll get you later. Thank you. If you want to give and you haven't given yet and you're here, thank you. But these organizations that I just mentioned, these 5 organizations, started us off with a $2 million cushion. And that was already the biggest fundraiser, I think, in the history of the Boston Public Library, or one of them, maybe even the beginning. The gala we have is next Friday, June 7th, so we want to see you there. As I mentioned earlier, when I took office, we looked at the public library. Joyce Linehan, our chief of policy, is here, and we talked about it in our policy discussions as a candidate for mayor. And we talked about the opportunity in our library. And Joyce was really a big, strong advocate saying that there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity here that is being missed right now in the City of Boston. And we started to talk about it. We saw one of the world's greatest public cultural institutions right here in Boston, Massachusetts. We saw library branches that our residents cherish and rely on in every single neighborhood in our city. We saw the potential to advance the highest values as we share as an administration in our city. Equity, opportunity, and community. We thought that no better way of being able to reach out to those different areas is through our libraries. We took every opportunity, and we're going to continue to take every opportunity to strengthen our library system. We work with employees to expand the hours, and I want to thank the employees. One of the first contracts that we settled right when I took office in the first 100 days was the librarian's contract, right off the bat. And we said, how do we use this to extend contracts? I want to thank the union and the workers for that. We've invested over $100 million in renovations and upgrades, and David Leonard talked about 6% in this budget. That's on top of increases for the last 5 years. So it's not just a 6% increase, we're increasing those numbers all along, and we're able to continue to do that. We use the library to help create programs to help people. Our Citizenship Corners. In the last 2 years, we've needed those to be able to let people come into a safe space, to be able to find out what their rights are, if they're undocumented, how they get pathways to citizenship. We've been able to work with them and work with the government in some ways. A social worker at the Copley Branch Library with Pine Street Inn, dealing with, rather than locking homeless people out, how do we actually work to help them and figure out better pathways to housing. Free Wi-Fi hotspots that people can use from home. We certainly have seen an opportunity, a lack of opportunity because families can't access the internet. And how do we create better opportunities for people? MBTA passes at branch libraries, allowing people to have better access. And we're still working on that one, I think, across the board, but we're working so people can use it as a one-stop shop. We also saw opportunities for philanthropy. As mayor, I've worked very closely with the philanthropic and business community in our city, and I want to thank them, thank all of you. And sometimes we might argue, and sometimes we might fight, but truly, this is a partnership. And if we don't work together, then we're not going to advance the city as a whole. I know that the kinds of impacts that have had, that you're looking for, are opportunities that we can do, can make transformative change. We're doing it here in the Boston Public Library system. We're making that transformative change across every single neighborhood in the city. Libraries can offer opportunities. The Boston Public Library has turned cultural leadership into social impact like no other institution can. The libraries, we're there for our kids and our teens, our children and our teens, our students and our seniors, our immigrants, our job seekers, our entrepreneurs. If you go into any library in the system today, you will find somebody at a computer looking for a job. You will find somebody who comes from a different country, maybe online, reading the newspaper from their country online. You'll see kids and librarians working in reading rooms and trying to create opportunities for better educational opportunities. You'll see at night community meetings happening in the libraries, talking about what's going on in their communities. So the library is, in a lot of cases, the central point of a neighborhood, which keeps our neighborhood strong. It also offers global cultural resources, the tools of the 21st century. And it says on the building, which is great, it offers all of this for free for all. And that's what we have to continue to fight for and make sure that it's free for all, but make sure people come into a world-class system. The Fund for Boston Public Library is an opportunity to draw on more of our city's leadership and innovation to unlock more of our institutional potential. The fund will work hand in hand with library leadership, who are on the leading edge of library science and responsive to the needs expressed by our residents. I want to welcome Executive Director Mary Flynn Meyers, who's with us today, who you read about in the paper yesterday. We're excited. I'm excited Mary's here. Again, when I met with Mary, we were talking about the importance of the library, and I think I said to Mary, I just want to make sure I want our system to be the best in the world. I want our library system to be best in the world, and I want everyone in the world to know it's the best in the world. So it's important. Thank you, Mary. One final point. In a time of inequality and division, libraries are the kind of social infrastructure we need to rebuild civic life in this country. Boston Public Library shows why. It offers shared space and shared resources, I mentioned earlier, not just here, no, not in this room, downstairs. It's equal access to everybody. It's a true public space. As a nation, we need more of these kinds of spaces. So we invite everyone through this fund to help grow our civic life, feed the roots of our democracy, and offer Boston a model, make Boston a model to the nation. Now I have the opportunity to turn this podium over to Jeff Hawkins, Chair of the Fund for the Boston Public Library.
Thank you, Mayor Walsh. We are so grateful for your support, not only for the operational and capital support that allows us to continue to keep improving our facilities, but also for convening a meeting in your office 3 years ago with many of the library stakeholders and supporters, and you challenged us to make the library better. You challenged us, all of us, to come together to find more support from the Boston philanthropic community for what this library can and should be. And for that, I am sincerely grateful. Thank you. As some of you know, I have a long history with the Boston Public Library, starting 20 years ago when I joined the Foundation's Young Professionals. Since then, I've watched the arc of the library and the massive change in technology, and somehow I feel I keep getting older and the library keeps getting younger. Pundits have been predicting that libraries would be obsolete with the rise of the internet. But if you've been to the renovated New Johnson Library, as the mayor talked about, you know how wrong the pundits were. And I'm sure the mayor would also agree that pundits can be wrong from time to time. Libraries right now are definitely having a moment. As we drown in data, we are yearning for information. We find ourselves divided on so many issues, and we seek places of community, from here in Central to the 25 branches that the library has, where they're providing all of this and so much more. As the BPL has evolved, we had to evolve our approach to fundraising. We had to do a better job telling our story to the philanthropic community. That was what the mayor challenged us to do a few years ago, and I am proud to say that the community has responded. As part of our recent outreach, I was talking to an old friend about how we could get him and his organization involved in the library. He politely and quickly declined, which for those of you in the philanthropic world know that happens quite a bit. But you can't take no for an answer. So I pushed him on why he said no. He said he got lots of requests for his organization to support Boston charities. As a group, they got together and they said, you know what, we're only going to focus on 3 things. We're only going to give to organizations that are involved in urban revitalization, education, and youth. And the BPL does not fit into any of those categories. So I said, you're right. It doesn't fit into any one of those categories. It fits into all 3. So I said, what you have to do is you have to come to the library. You have to take a tour. You have to talk. You have to see what's going on here, how much has changed as I've gotten older and the library has gotten younger. You just don't know the Boston Public Library today. So he came in. He saw all of these great spaces. And I'm proud to say that his organization donated $25,000 in support of the gala. And that is the exact kind of story that we need to tell over and over again, because I know that there are many people like that in the Boston community. I'm confident in saying that the library is positioned better now than at any time in its history to be successful at raising the kind of funds that will take it from being a great library to the mayor's vision of making it the greatest library in the country. That's why we needed to find the right person to take on the challenge of the Boston Public Library Fund. Someone who had the experience not only of raising funds for a well-respected Boston institution, but also someone who can build something from the ground up and make it succeed. I'm very pleased to formally welcome Mary Meyers as the new Executive Director of the Fund for the Boston Public Library. Mary has been involved in development for 35 years, most recently as the President for the Campaign for Catholic Schools. Mary, please come up and say a few words.
I'm thrilled to be here, and Jeff was a member of our Young Professionals group 20 years ago, he tells me, but I think that couldn't be that long. You don't look 20 years, that it was 20 years of work. But we'd like to re-engage the young professionals. When I go into the Bates reading room every day, most of the people in the room are under 35 years old, and they're using the library as a WeWorks, or they're taking selfies in the beautiful McKim building. And I think that if we could do a really good task for the library is if we could have another young professionals group and maybe find the next Jeff Hawkins to go forward in this. So thank you very much, Jeff. And thank you also to Mayor and to Bob and to David very much. You can hear, there's nothing better, and I've been doing fundraising for a lot of years, than to do fundraising for an organization that is strong. And the Boston Public Library today is a very strong organization. We are poised, as we've said before, to be important in this community, and we're ambitious. And I think that we have everything in place to do a great job and move the fundraising forward. Today we're celebrating the kickoff of the Fund for the Boston Public Library, and there are really, in my mind, two reasons why we are going to be particularly successful. One of them falls into the category of the sum is greater than the parts, and that is because we're thrilled that the prestigious Leventhal Map and Education Center and the energetic and effective Associates for the Boston Public Library have come together with our fundraising group and with the Boston Public Library in a formal way to say that we're going to strategize together, coordinate our efforts, and move forward. So we really think that coming together, the messaging in the community will be clearer. I know from the donor community, they get lots of calls, and they're trying to figure out what is the best thing to fund, and I think if we're together, unified, more can be done. And David in the paper today thought 5 to 10 million is what we're looking to raise, and I think we can even beat that over time when we all come together. The other reason we're successful is because we have financial backing. Ideas are ideas unless you have funds to make it concrete. And the team that has been at this podium today, in the last year, have contacted 6 major funders in Greater Boston. And it's a blue ribbon group. When you've heard who our funders are, it's a blue ribbon group. Every one of those listened to what the plan was, understood the governance change, understood that the library was ready to take this on, and have invested in the Fund for the Boston Public Library. So today we have $2.8 million that has been committed over time from 6 funders, of which $400,000 will be used immediately for library services. So some money will come to the fund to help us build a strong but mighty team in the next couple of years, but we also want to also deliver services, so thank you very much. And we have many of the people here, and I'd like to just call out Kerry Sullivan is here, the president of the Bank of America Foundation. Thank you, Kerry. And Alicia Verite as well, senior vice president for corporate responsibility. Jim Canales has been mentioned from the Barr Foundation, president and trustee. Thank you, Jim. Ted McEnroe is here representing the Boston Foundation. Thank you, Ted, very much. From the Liberty Mutual Foundation, Melissa McDonald is here with us. Melissa, thank you for your help. And also from State Street, Hannah Grove, who you'll be hearing from shortly, Chief Marketing Officer, Joe McGrail, President of the State Street Foundation, Amanda Northrup, and also, I understand, a new incoming President of State Street Foundation, Joan Crystal. So, Joan, welcome very much. I hope that you'll feel that your investment will be leveraged many times over. We will treat the funding with respect. We will hire the best team. We will do the best we can to bring new programs into the library, and I'm really looking forward to working with you. But I'm really, really looking forward to be back at this podium in the next few years to celebrate the completion of this beautiful renovation. It will be dedicated to fine arts. It will allow us to access some of our wonderful collections in a way that the public will be able to use them. We'll use imagination in how that might be. It will not just be books under glass, but it will be interactive. I'll be happy to be here in a couple of years as we bring more programming to our branches. That's really where the work is being done, and there's so many exciting things that can happen in the branches. When our digital technology is the best in the country, why not, Mayor? We're the best in the country. And where our collections are well-funded, preserved, and usable for all. So I think we have a big task ahead of us. I think we're the team to get it done, and I'm very thrilled to be here as part of the Fund for the Boston Public Library. I'd like to introduce now Hannah Grove, who joined us first as the steering committee member when the group was conceiving what might be the next step for philanthropy. And then has been kind enough to agree to serve on the fund board and also was involved with the gift from State Street. I should say of the $2.8 million that's been given, the lead funders with Bank of America and State Street at $750,000 each, which is a wonderful gift, and thank you all. You've really caused others now to look at us in a new way. Next week, we announce what we hope will be a gala gift of about $3.3 million. And if my math is right and we add that together, it would mean $6.1 million in philanthropy has been dedicated to the Boston Public Library and the 25 branches in the course of a week. So if that doesn't get... We'd like to make some noise in the library. David says it's all right to make noise in the library. We want to make some noise in this community about what a wonderful place this is. Someone said to me, we're trying to make people fall in love with the library all over again, and we hope to be able to do that. So thank you very much. And Hannah, if you'll join us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary, and I am delighted to be here today representing our CEO, Ron O'Hanley, my wonderful colleagues from the Foundation. I'm all about making a lot of noise in the library, and I am very much in love with this library. I want to extend my thanks to David and his team, to Bob, to Alan, to Jeff Hawkins, and to our mayor for your incredible leadership and vision. I know we would not be here today without you. I want to say how proud State Street is to be a supporter of the Boston Public Library. We're even prouder to be in such incredible company. You heard the roster of names that are involved. I would say we also believe that we're stronger together and that we welcome more company. So I put that challenge out there. The more the merrier as far as we're concerned. I think for us, the value proposition for the library is really clear and straightforward. The mayor actually said it so eloquently when you said it's about opportunity. We would argue that libraries have never been more relevant. I think libraries advance better communities, a better city, and they very much align with our focus on workforce development, particularly through the library's program at neighborhood branches, which is enabling access to underserved communities and is so critical. And as we look to bridge the equity gaps and digital divides that challenge our city, to me, the BPL stands very much on the front lines. And by supporting the Boston Public Library, and I want to emphasize on public, we're helping to ensure that the library and its branches continue to be the backbone of this city. And so, although we at State Street have called Boston home for more than 226 years, I think I was probably around for about 200 of them, we are a company that is very much focused on the future. And that future is inextricably linked with an educated, inclusive, and thriving city. And we're very proud to play our part. And again, we hope that others in the private sector will join us, because again, we welcome the company, hint, hint. I'm in marketing, so I have to get that across. So with that, I'm very delighted to hand over to one of our patrons. Jacqueline Ludiger is going to talk about what the library has meant to her. So if I could ask you to come up, Jacqueline.
Thank you so much for inviting me and to listen about how was my experience at the Boston Public Library. So I'm from Germany and I moved with my family 8 months ago to Boston. And I had a long to-do list. What are you doing? You have to do when you live abroad. And one of the things on my to-do list was that I absolutely need a library card because I love to read. And this is the first time I really have hours and days and I have so much time to read because I had to quit everything in Germany, and start a new life here. So, and I was really looking forward, and I was very excited. So I went to the library one day, in my first days here in Boston, picked a library card and was asking for recommendations. I needed some easy reading, some easy books, for English learning readers. And so I got a recommendation and I went to the shelf, and when I was looking for books, there were two ladies next to this shelf, and they asked me, maybe can I help you? And I said, yes, of course, I'm looking for, and these two ladies were from ESL team, working for the Public Boston Library. So that was my luck. These ladies told me more about the services in ESL, what the library offers. And so at the end of this day, I went to my first English conversation group. that was a very nice experience. I met a lot of international people, and although the volunteer teachers, they were very motivated, and yeah, it was great, just great. From this on, I joined a lot of different ESL classes, a TOEFL, ESL intermediate class where you also get some grammar and yeah, more vocabulary and everything. But I learned not only English in these classes, I also learned about America. I mean, when you come from Europe and you imagine, okay, so we moved to America. This is not a big thing. I mean, it's pretty, you think it is pretty similar, but it is not. It's completely, America is a completely different culture, you know, and you have to learn more than only the language. And yeah, that's what I also learned from my teachers, you know, or the volunteers. They tell me about the country, about the rules, you know, how it works, and yeah, how you manage your daily life here. So I really have to thank to all my teachers and the ESL team. They do a fantastic job, yeah. But this is not only the only thing what the Boston Public Library yeah, offers to the people. I mean, they are also, I mean, I did not use this, but they have, I saw they have tax help, they have homework help, they offer museum passes. Yeah, some of the museum passes I used, I mean, I made reservations. When you do a reservation for a museum pass, you have to go to different branches to pick them up. That's how yeah, I went to different branches and saw that all the libraries have a different style. They look a little bit different, have, yeah, different books, some big, some small, some very modern, some very old and very stylish architecture. So you can find everything here in Boston. And what also was very amazing for me, because I'm not used to this, was that you don't go in the library and look, you know, on the shelves to find something interesting. No, you do it online. I mean, this is also part of the American lifestyle, I think, that you do everything online. So you go on the website, yeah, then just enter a word, yeah, you get a lot of long list, and then you choose something, and then you can say, I want to pick it up on this day, or at this branch, or at Copley, wherever you want, you know, and then you go pick it up at the desk. You don't have to go to the shelves, yeah. And also when you finish with your reading, then you drop it off where you want. I mean, just go to the next branch around you and drop it off. It's amazing because such a service, you really have to pay for it in Europe, yeah? I mean, the shipping, yeah. So I have to say thank you to the library and to everybody who made this possible. It's really...
And so that was a quick tour to many of our services. Thank you so much. As someone who came to the country in 1992, I can appreciate some of the challenges of learning and becoming part of this culture. So thank you all very much for being here. This is the beginning of the next chapter of the history of the Boston Public Library, and I think I will just close with the word of momentum. That is what we have going forward. Thank you all for being here, and see you soon.